Hey, what's up? It is the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur and Smith.
That's me.
Y'all back at it again on a Covid-19 Wednesday in quarantine, bringing it to you live and virtual with the latest in the COVID-19 news and conspiracy theories and propaganda. I've heard so many conspiracy theories, man. Oh my God. If you're joining us for the first time, we're a podcast about history, politics, and race, and we also do current affairs. I'm a filmmaker with a love for history, politics, and race, and Smith is a veteran of the Army Reserves, and he also works for the VA, and he has a passion for the same. And together we're the HPR Chronicles with Shakur and Smith, a.k.a. Slimmy, a.k.a. Crispy. Who knows? So every week since this pandemic hit, we've been bringing you guys just COVID-19 news, man, because there's so much stuff. There's always something to talk about. So again, we're gonna talk about that stuff again today, and I have a gang of notes. And I know I always say at the end of every show to Smith to make sure he doesn't see me, but I did happen to see him at the barbecue place. You know, it was very briefly. It was all of like 2 minutes, and he was 6 feet away, and he was scared to even give me an elbow bump. You know what I mean? He's like, "All right, man, peace." And he left. He left in about 2 minutes. We went and got some barbecue at a really cool spot here in Marietta. You know, and we had our mask on, and so we followed all the rules. So I did happen to see Crispy. Just wanted to let y'all know for like 2 minutes the other day. Yeah, man. So we're back at it again. Like I said, I have a list. You want to jump it off?
Sure.
And I just saw Gavin Newsom talk about the 4-phase strategy to roll us. And I was trying to look it up because Rachel was just asking me. She's like, "Oh, seriously?" I said, "Just Google it when you're done, and you'll see what the whole plan is."
I missed phase 1 and 2, but for people in California, which I'm assuming that, well, some states are following it in different ways, because I know 3 and 4 is the parts I heard, and he said 3 and 4 are more like, or 3 was hair salons, nail salons, stuff like that opening, and then number 4 would have been big locations, so like sporting arenas, convention centers, and stuff like that. So I like the way that they have it phased. And
they said that's won't be till far down the line, right? The arenas, way far down the line. They said.
So there's going to be a lot less people in the stands for football games, basketball games, and baseball. So I don't know how it's going to work. Obviously, the players can still play.
And I was going to say, are they going to have just like empty games with the players and stuff playing?
I've heard they talked about that as they were canceling. So I'm just kind of going to assume that, But if we want to, dove into some of the things that went on, I guess we could start with Florida has opened their beaches. I think there's one beach in California that opened.
A couple at Orange County, Huntington, Ventura. Yeah. And
only thing that's scary is if the pictures that are shown are true, it doesn't look like people are really keeping their distance.
They weren't. Yeah, they weren't.
And the other thing, one thing that really I'll end more with this but so the beaches, and then which is Kemp, governor of, is it Virginia? No. Sorry. Had it. Got too many things up on my screen.
Okay.
Shoot. Well, okay. Let me talk about what I know that happened in Chicago. There was this big house party that looks like people in their 20s or teens were participating in. As it was reported, it's probably over 1,000 people were there. If you combine the inside, it looked like there was at least 100. And that's 1,000 people.
Where was this? Where was this? Oh, I lost you for a second.
Oh. Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I heard what you said. I was just asking you, where was this?
Oh, Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Oh, the West Side.
Okay. Oh, the house party.
The house party in the West Side of Chicago.
Yeah, they were talking about it on the radio this morning. That same party.
Yeah. I mean, looking at, I paused for a second. The video I got that was sent to me was 55 minutes long. Like, they just stay on the air. But the small little part, I counted at least 20 people. I mean, so you definitely figured there's got to be like 60 or 70. Just people were packed on that first floor area, and then you got stairs going up. So yeah, that house easily could have like 75 people packed full. And then you just got to imagine, if it's like that outside, what's it like out inside, or what's it like inside, and what's it looking like outside.
Yeah. And
people just coming, going, people have masks on, people don't. It's just,
I don't understand the reasoning. I mean, I don't understand the logic, the reasoning, the why our people have to be so ignorant, man.
Yeah. One thing I'm noticing though is there's two combinations. Well, let's say there's several things that people, I don't know if you see it on Facebook, but I see, and we've talked about this, and I hate that we keep saying the same thing, but it's so prevalent, and it just keeps coming. It doesn't change. Like, people's minds don't. But okay, so first part I see is religion. So people saying that God's going to save them. So even let's say you're not, the young ones that went out aren't really churchgoers, but let's say people in your family are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you still get that idea in your head about the faith, or being faith or religious and stuff like that. And then second thing is I'm noticing a lot of conspiracies, like the 5G. I don't believe that 5G is causing the coronavirus, or that it's all been fake, and
it's all
there's
5G.
Yeah. But what I'm finding, the biggest thing that seems to be going on is hearing doctors or just people in general who want to use the statistics, or even what they're experiencing. They're saying that, like I talked to a doctor at the VA hospital back in the Midwest, in Wisconsin, and he said that the hospitals are kind of quiet and they're kind of eerie because there's not that many people there. The clinics, outpatient clinics, are closed, so it's just inpatient. And as far as inpatient goes, they're only taking if a limb is threatened or life. So it's either COVID-19 or if a limb or your life is on jeopardy. So that means everybody else is expected to shelter at home and all that other stuff. So people are noticing that it seems like it's flattening, or not that many people are getting sick, and a lot of people think that they're asymptomatic, that they haven't shown any symptoms. But the things that people have to remember is, if you in a state that's been sheltering, staying at home, you're not exposing yourself to a lot of people.
Right.
So the idea of staying home is to keep us all safe and keep people from getting sick. But the main point was to prevent so many people from getting sick and flooding the hospitals. So if people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and there's less cases, compared to what it would have been, because the other thing I'm hearing is the models, that the projections of the deaths and how many people were supposed to get sick was supposed to be, this large number. Well, it's not, but that's because we're sheltering in place.
Exactly,
which shows that
exactly,
what we're doing is working. Yeah. And people aren't really thinking about that. People are concerned about getting their nails done, getting their haircut, and then want to compare services like going to church as similar to going to the grocery store, and those aren't the same. Because you can't go, because you're not supposed to be in a group larger than 10, or just that they suggest that people not congregate at all. Doesn't mean you still can't worship. You can worship at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Worship outside.
It's not an essential service like you have to do, or you You know what I'm trying to say?
Or because the church isn't going to kick you out.
Right.
God's not going to not talk to you.
Right.
He talks to you anyway.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
So it's interesting to, and yeah, that's just so interesting to see. People are working or trying to do their hardest to give a good reason to go outside and or to resume normal life. And I get it, because it is, it does get boring. It gets tiring. Some people are, not doing so well with the isolation. But I just, the alternative is death. And then, do you have any comments on that?
No, yeah. I mean, my daughter's mom, and she took my daughter to the beach. What day was that? Sunday? Saturday or Sunday? They went to Santa Barbara, because they went to Ventura, and even though the beach was open, the parking was closed. So they just said Santa Barbara is not that far, so they went a little further, and the parking and the beach was open in Santa Barbara. And they, went on to the beach in Santa Barbara, and she was like, I was like, well, people weren't social distancing and wearing masks. She was like, no, but in the heat, it dies anyway. And I'm like, that's not true. Like, all those people that went to spring break, they show how they carried it back to their towns and stuff. They were all on the beach in Miami, and it's hot and humid in Miami. That's where I grew up. You know what I mean? And I just didn't even want to get into it. I think, you got to be kidding me. So you on the beach and not protecting yourself because you think the heat kills it, so it's okay just to be on the beach chilling. I mean, all this misinformation, man, just really trips me out. And I don't know if you heard about the Audrey Whitlock in North Carolina. She started the Reopen North Carolina movement.
Yes, and she now
she was asymptomatic. So who knows who she gave it to and didn't even know.
Yeah. Well, I thought
that she's singing a different song. You know what I mean? She's at home and.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I thought they asked her if she was positive when she participated, and she didn't answer it, which makes me think that she might have been. But yeah, that's a terrible thing to think. She felt she was. Again, you could think you're fine for yourself, and that's all fine and good, and you can do stuff. You're meant to. You can harm yourself, but technically you're harming other people when you come around, and whether you're symptomatic or not, and taking that chance without being tested, it's just a big risk.
Right. Exactly. It's interesting, and those are the things that we're talking about. And I heard Gavin Newsom say that when they reopen California, if they see a spike in cases, he's going to shut it back down. And like, Crispy, honestly, to me, if they're going to open it in 2 weeks, why not just open it tomorrow? Nothing's going to be different between now and 2 weeks and on May 15th. I'm sorry. Nothing's going to be different.
Yeah.
For this to really work, they got to keep it shut down until August, September. But I know they don't want to do that because it's going to be so devastating. The damage is already done to the economy.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see if it could be rebuilt now. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I don't think it would have been much worse just holding out and making sure that this thing didn't, keep going on from person to person to person. But to me, they might as well open up next week, bro. And I don't know if you got the email from Mayor Monte saying they're going to open up in May, sometime in May. Yeah, I got the email yesterday, I think.
Okay.
Said, hey, we're cleaning. We're going to open sometime in May. They're just trying to figure out what date or whatever. And I don't know what restrictions they're going to have and stuff like that. But, man, they had this one scientist on CNN, and he was like, listen, people, no matter where you are, whatever, I say still stay home. You know what I'm saying? Let them go out there and be the guinea pigs and test it.
Yeah.
I'm still going to chill, man. I ain't going to test none of that stuff.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I ain't testing it. You know what I mean?
No, and what we're talking about, Miramonte is a winery out here. And if they're opening for tastings and all that other stuff, that is a big risk, not only for the customers, but for
everybody
the
touching
servers
the glass.
too.
It's not like we can't we have to take our mask off to drink.
To sip, yeah.
The winery is the last place. The winery should be on phase 5. They the crazy.
No, they're phase 4. They're phase 4.
They need to be on 5, bro. They need to create a whole other phase for that. Because that's the one place where you can't go with the mask. You can't drink. What are you going to do? Like every 5 seconds, like everybody's touching glasses. The interaction is like, man, come on.
Or just talking, period. Someone can land right on your glass.
And you're constantly drinking and passing glasses and distracting.
Well, okay, so let's think about it this way. What they could do is they could either do one of two things. They could do bottles
only.
Well, bottles only, like they're doing now. But you could
space the tables out.
Yeah, space the tables. But they could do tastings where they come to you, pour the bottle at your table.
And hopefully the person you're with is someone you're quarantining with then. And y'all not wearing a mask. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, I don't know, man. It's
a big risk. No matter what, the risk. I think what they just want to be able to do is do the bottle sales, which they're already doing. But I think them being able to allow people on the property to just, but they have to be spaced out. Some places are going to work out pretty well. I mean, Wilson Creek already has. I mean, the way they space the tables, but it's just going to be when people move those tables. You know what I mean? And it's gonna get crazy. You're gonna see a party of 50 or 20 people come. Like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna police that?
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna be the guinea pig. This one artist, this rapper, he was like 35. He had no underlying issues, and he died from it. This one artist, really popular artist in this group that signed to Jay-Z's Rock Nation. I forget his name, but he was talking about how he said, man, it was scary. I thought I was going to die. And I don't think it hits home until it happens to you or until it happens to someone you actually know. Then it sinks in like, this is like for real. This ain't no play thing. And you know what I'm trying to say? But I think because there's so many people on the planet in your particular town, and the numbers are so small compared to the rest of the people that you're thinking, man, this can't be as bad as it really is until it hits you or your loved one or your family member or whatever. Just like the nurse, the doctor, really attractive doctor, man. I think it was in New York. Did you see? She caught it from helping, and she recovered and then killed herself after because of the stress from helping people.
She killed herself?
She killed herself after. You can Google it when we get off. Just doctor that committed suicide after recovering from COVID. Good looking woman too, man. I was like, it just tripped me out. So to me, it doesn't hit home until it happens to you. I don't think you take it seriously until someone close to you gets it and your loved one is on a ventilator and you couldn't say bye before they passed. Yeah. I don't think it's, and see, what a lot of people don't realize is, and we've mentioned this before, so far it's almost 60,000 in 2 months or something, and the flu kills 10,000 a season.
Yes, that's the other statistic.
Yeah, and people are like, no, this is not the flu, people. This is some other shit that's serious as hell that you need to take seriously. It's not the flu.
And like you said, when we talked about that and when I said it to you, you were like, yeah, the flu kills someone or kills so many people over, the span of a year is what they're
the span of the season. Yeah. So it's like late
season or whatever.
Yeah, beginning to the next year. Yeah.
Correct.
Like 10 grand.
You have this, it's like you just said, it's about to hit, which I think, I don't want to be stating, I think Trump said it wasn't going to be more than 60,000.
He said that at first, then he said it'd be 100 or 200,000. And now they're switching it and saying it's probably 75,000 by August or something like that.
Yeah. But he said he thought it was going to top, and the most it was going to be was it wasn't going to make it to 60. And again, that's all that stuff is just the projections that are being used is at the time of they're making the projection. They're using the data that they have. So what they predicted when it was going to be millions of deaths, that was doing nothing. When it got to 250, that was just with the whole quarantine. But then people, or maybe it was just social distancing. But then when the whole, people sheltering at home, that made those numbers drop even lower. So are we lucky that we're at 60,000? I don't know if that's a, fair enough thing. But one thing I am thinking about, and I would say whoever's running for president, and since it's only be a new person on the Democratic side, they definitely need to emphasize that for the future, when another pandemic occurs, and like it's been said already, it's not like when. I mean, it's not if it will happen. It's when will it happen? Yeah. So someone needs to come up with a plan on being able to cover everyone. And I keep saying it. This is the perfect time for universal health care, because this one thing that's being shown with the pandemic is the lack of care or health care for African Americans, and how some places don't have hospitals or clinics nearby. And the coronavirus has spread really crazy within the Black community or within minorities. And I think is it Virginia that's also? Oh no, that's a different story. But yeah, the fact that Georgia, that's the state where that opened up, and the governor didn't know how bad it was until 24 hours before. But anyway, in Georgia, things are pretty bad. And, the statement that Black folks is like, is it a setup? Are they trying to kill us? Because they're not really doing anything to help.
And this social distancing, like getting things back to normal, we will probably be devastated the most, the Black and the brown, just like we are now without it.
Exactly. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But if, again, a candidate needs to really talk about how they can, because of the pandemic, that's a good reason to have universal health care. Testing would have been taken care of, people's lives going in to see doctors, all this stuff would have been controlled at a higher level. And then it just could have gone down to, the state part, and then locally, and everything would have been, I feel, a little bit more coordinated. It's kind of interesting hearing, again, when we talk about why people are doing a bunch of different things that contradict what's being told, by healthcare professionals, is because you have, someone like Trump who thinks that injecting disinfectants into your body or somehow sticking some rod of light inside of you would cure things. But, you got non-professionals giving advice, yet you don't see the same thing when you're in the hospital. The hospitals are still taking it serious. So just want people to know, again, I'm hearing stuff from families and friends that are in the hospitals and what they're, doing, or even just within the VA. It's not like everything that's being opened up. The VA is still only having life-threatening and COVID-19 patients. They're not doing any other, outpatient care or anything like that. So it's weird when you're, one part of the government is acting like everything's okay, and another part is like, oh no, this is continuing on until the end of the month, and then they're evaluating. But the economy is going to be opening up, like you say, tomorrow for some states.
Yeah, I mean, middle of the month for us, and like I said, I'm still staying in.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be doing none of that stuff. Now, you know what to ask you? What do you think happened in January, man? And I'm saying this because I was listening to Vlad TV, and he was interviewing Grant Cardone about the COVID-19 and all that. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a big real estate tycoon guy in Florida. He does all these events and stuff, and and he also said that in January he got really sick, and he was like, "Man, honestly, Vlad, I think I had this in January."
Yeah,
it's the same thing that me and a bunch of other people are saying. Like, I keep hearing this January thing.
Yeah,
he was like, I think it was here before. He said in January, I was sick as I've never been sick before with all of the symptoms that they talk about.
Yeah.
You know, and Crispy, I swear, I keep hearing January and I still go back to what if that's what we all had in January.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it was probably prevalent or moving around back in, let's say the originating in China. It probably started in November.
No, they say before that there.
Before November?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Remember the one basketball player that plays over there, she caught it in November in China. Remember? Okay. And then she recovered, and then they found 2 people that died in Santa Clara in February from COVID-19.
Yeah, that one I saw.
And then Gavin Newsom said they were going to do some research to see if they can find some in December because of that February. See, and if they do find some in December, it was in January when we all got sick. Me, this architect that I'm working, we all got sick in January and hadn't even seen each other. We all had the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It was
Only
crazy,
thing I would
man.
wonder is, does that make it seem like it's not as bad then? I mean,
well, no. Remember, it doesn't affect everybody the same. Some people are asymptomatic. Some people just get some of the symptoms. Some people get none. Some people get a bunch of symptoms. Some people get all of them and recover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. You know? Yeah. But I'm telling you, I would not be surprised. We all assumed that it was the flu.
Yeah,
which was tricky. But what if it was this COVID thing?
It was something else, yeah.
You know?
Let me like we always want to do some fact stuff. I'm gonna real quick jump in and just say that there's Associated Press does some fact checking on different things that have been stated. So like Trump made the statement that we have now tested more than 5 million people. That is more than any other country in the world, and even more than all major countries combined. He tweeted that last Saturday. And the fact is, actually, the U.S. has tested far fewer people than major countries combined, and lags dozens of countries in testing its population proportionally. Governors around the nation have stressed their decisions that lifting stay-at-home orders rest in part on the availability of testing and understanding the scope of how the respiratory disease has spread. So that's one thing that he's, kind of misled people to believing.
Yep.
And then the disinfectant. Trump on the virus.
Talk about that. We got to talk about that. What an
I see
idiot.
I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it in the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. God, anyway, sorry. So it would be interesting to check that. You're going to have to use medical doctors, but it sounds interesting to me. So of course the fact is no. Him flirting with the idea of somehow putting disinfectants caused the companies that make Lysol and other chemicals said under no circumstances should disinfectant products be administered to the human body through injection, ingestion, or any other route.
Any of that.
Clorox had to do the same thing. And of course, his comeback was, someone who always liked to speak directly. He, of course, said that he was trying to do sarcastic.
What an idiot, man. And people in his base actually believe that too.
Yeah. I mean,
his base, he was just being sarcastic. He didn't, his base is rolling right with it.
Which is, again, interesting how people, what they love him for is being so direct and he speaks his mind. But you always have to, after he says something that's doesn't make quite sense, it's interesting how everyone has to explain. And I'm like, shouldn't have to explain if he speaks directly. But then you would mention the sunlight and heat. Trump on an unproven theory that sunlight, heat, and humidity can destroy the virus faster than inside the house. I hope people enjoy the sun, and if it has an impact, that's great. And if heat is good, and if sunlight is good, that's a great thing as far as I'm concerned, he said on past Thursday. So facts, sunlight can be a disinfectant for the spirit, and outdoor exercises were recommended in today's social isolation. But there's no proof it will make the pandemic go away. Without declaring that it would, Trump is again giving traction to a theory that could prompt people to let down their guard on others, around others outside. So there is no, proof that the warmer weather is going to make any changes to this virus. Then there's another one.
And there's also no proof yet that once you have it, you can't get reinfected.
Get it again. Yeah.
They've been talking about that all week so far, all weekend. There's no proof of that. No, nothing to support that. Yeah, actually,
that's the next thing I was going to say. Trump. Oh, well, this is different. It was just Trump on the chances of the virus returning in the fall. And his response is, if it does come back, it's not going to come back. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me say that again. If it does come back, and then I think he said it's not going to come back. And I've spoken to 10 different people. It's not going to be like it was. If we have embers of corona coupled with the flu, that's not going to be pleasant, but it's not going to be what we've gone through in any shape, form, any way, shape, or form. You may not even have corona coming back, just so you understand. And that was last week, Wednesday. The fact is, and this came, his own public health officials had to refute him on the spot about the fact that whether the coronavirus will come back. There will be coronavirus in the fall, and that was Dr. Fauci. I'm convinced of that because of the degree of transmissibility that it has in the global nature. Next fall and winter, we're going to have two viruses circulating, and we're going to have to distinguish between which is the flu and which is the coronavirus, which is just what you had said earlier, like back in January. No one knew about the coronavirus, and no one else to say it was the flu.
To even check to see if it was something else other than the flu, like no one knew. We just assumed it was the flu. But I do think that it was strange. That was the first year since the flu had, been around that it just seemed like everybody I know had gotten sick. And when it was happening, it seemed strange to me. I was like, why is everybody getting sick this year? It was so strange to me. Like,
well, I'm lucky, knock on wood.
Yeah, I know. But like a few people didn't, but most people I know got sick, and it was so weird. And I was like, what's going on? I questioned it. Like, what's going on? Like, why is everybody getting sick? It was strange. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I will say that even during that time, I was looking into other things that would just help me improve my immunity, immune system and stuff like that. So I did start doing things that I felt that would help boost my my immune. So then there was also the malaria drug. And this one was from the VA, so the Veteran Affairs Secretary, Robert Wilkie, asked whether it was safe to encourage people to take hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19 treatment. And he goes, oh, I think so. And that was last week, Wednesday. The facts. That's not what the government's top health experts have said for weeks, nor what his own agency, the VA, has suggested. A new alert Friday from the Food and Drug Administration further underscored why the drug cannot be considered generally safe in this pandemic and why it has not been approved for FDA or treatment of COVID-19. So even though there's not a lot of testing hasn't been for everywhere, but there's been enough testing to see that when they give it to people who are not treated compared to people. So if you're COVID-19 and you're getting hydrochloroquine as to help you, the people who got those didn't. It was actually a worse recovery than those who did not take it. So
they say that doesn't work. They say that one don't work.
So again, it's very misleading. The bad part is people are using data to prove certain things that's not necessarily good, and you always got to stick with what the health experts are saying, and it's got to be experts. And when I say experts, I'm referring to a good opinion, not like one or two who say, "Oh no, sunlight's fine," or "Oh no, you can do this." I want like hundreds, to be talking along the same line as opposed to just one or two people telling me something.
Yeah, and how about that? How about that? That mayor in Vegas. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
And then they
And
named
her
her.
statement.
They named her Donkey of the Day on the Breakfast Club. Man, it was. I mean, and to me, the caveat of her statement was at the end when what's the name on CNN said, "So are you going to go into casinos?" Oh no, definitely not. Me and my family, we don't have a reason to go in a casino.
I don't.
We ain't gonna go in there.
I've got a family. I've got to cook meals.
Yeah. She said, but they'll figure it out though. They should open up. They'll all figure it out.
And that's
go ahead.
Just like you said, when he asked her like how are they going to do it, and she said, "That's not my job."
Right.
I'm like,
yeah,
okay, but your job is to help figure out.
You're the mayor. You're supposed to lead.
Mayor.
You're supposed to. Yeah. It's scary. Like scary, man. And man, it's like I guess you have to balance the economy with death. I hate to say. I mean,
yeah. Well,
that's what we're having to do here.
Yeah.
Because the 22 million people already filed, and you figure if they keep it on lockdown until August, September, which is probably what should happen, how much worse would the economy actually get?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you're like on the other side of that, what if all these people die?
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like a lose-lose.
Yeah, it is kind of.
If you don't get back, people don't get back to work. Then if you get back, people may get back to work, but then a lot of people might die and they might spike again. And like I keep saying, and we're stuck in a house New Year's and Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
For not just 2021, but maybe even 2022 because it's gotten worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was when you I forgot when you said that about it's either death or the economy. You may reminded me what Mitch McConnell had recently said, and he's okay with making poorly run states to file bankruptcy. And Como of New York was asked that question, like, what did he think of it? And it was just crazy to think that McConnell thinks that letting the federal or states, file bankruptcy, they can't pay their police department, their fire department, then just the local needs that we as citizens need in order to survive. However, if you got to compare that, these states like California and New York are asking for funding, but these are also the states that give a lot of federal money to the federal government. Right. Like California is considered the fifth largest economy in the world, not globally. So it's not just that it's within the United States; it's fifth globally. So we bring in a lot of money, and that money goes to a lot of it goes to the federal government, which therefore people should get back. But it's also meant to be shared among other states.
Right.
And you got a state like that Mitch McConnell, who is over the Kentucky, and that state is always getting grants every year because it's so poor. That's so poorly run. They don't. Their taxes are so low that they don't bring in. They don't have enough to cover their own citizens, and they have to get the money from the federal government. That's not fair either. So his statement was just so wrong, and the point of making me think of it was when Como said the options of opening the economy and death. That's how important is the money.
Yeah, how important is the money? And let's talk about the vaccine, because when I took my dog to the vet last week, they were going to give him the COVID-19 vaccine. I didn't even know they had it for animals already, which is interesting. But you heard about the cats in New York that got it, and the Tigers and all that got it in New York.
I just read that that one dog has been shown to actually have gotten it.
Okay. Well, they're giving my dog the shots this Thursday. You know, the COVID-19 shot. But then that leads me into the whole thing that happened when they caught the people talking. I can't remember if it was at Fox or at the press conference, the two dudes, and it was like, man, take your mask off. We have the vaccine. Remember, we're vaccinated. And then they were trying to say it was a joke, you know, because it got leaked.
Oh, you know? Yeah, I remember seeing the video where it was two Fox people.
I think it was,
or at least it was one guy was from Fox. I don't know if the guy
something like
was
that
or not. But yeah, they were talking. He said,
and they're like, well, why would you joke like that? Like, maybe they do have the vaccine.
And they just, you
know what I'm saying?
That is, I gotta say, one of the which kind of makes me go into this next week again when we're talking about the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Cotton, I think it was Senator. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
He was talking about how students from China should not be learning about science here.
Mm-hmm.
Because and then he went into a thing about the fact that they still are intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I get that, but that doesn't mean that just someone going to school is automatically going to steal something. But his point, he made a statement that, you know, they're going to come here, they're going to try to get the vaccine, and then they'll take it back home. But this reason why this is kind of relates is the scary part is he's almost making it seem like if we're the ones that come up as in the United States with a vaccine, they're not going to share it with China.
Saying.
Like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Like, it should be shared across
the board,
the world, because everyone.
Because we're traveling around the world. It's a human. We're a human race. You know what I mean?
And that's the part that makes me nervous. Where Trump, his son, or his family trying to be involved with stuff.
Running low. Let me grab my plug.
Okay.
Real quick.
But just how those things make me nervous that they may take the vaccine and use it to as leverage against other countries or.
About to cut off. All right, cool. I'm gonna save it. Cool.
As you can see, people, this is all live.
Hold on.
It's all live.
What'd you say?
I said, as they can see, this is all live. We are.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
But I just finished it by saying that, you know, the idea that the president or his family are involved with the making of the vaccine, and if they somehow get involved.
But the thing is, what if they already have it? I don't believe in all the conspiracy theories, but when I saw that video, I was like, what if they have a vaccine already? Why would they joke like that? And like, take your mask. We have the vaccine. Like, was that a joke or was it for real? Like, no one knows.
No one's there.
Because it would
first.
And the thing is, how do they have it for my dog, but they don't have it for humans yet? You know what I'm saying?
They already know. I don't know how they have COVID-19 for dogs, but I know that the coronavirus is more of an animal. There's an animal version.
Oh, so that's how they have the COVID-19. Yeah. They told me COVID-19 shot they're going to give them.
I mean, I don't know. Unless they're maybe able to just, it works easier for animals than it does for.
Probably.
So,
interesting, man. Strange stuff, Crispy. Strange stuff.
I know.
I don't know, brother. I don't know. What else here? What else here is on my list? I think I covered everything on my list.
I will say I'm just kind of looking at the internet, the things popping up, and Trump plans to order meat processing plants to stay open during coronavirus.
But a lot of them shut down already because so many people got sick and they said they were contaminated. I think 16 shut down already or something, right? Yeah.
But somehow he's trying to keep things going, which I think is scary because if it contaminates, if it somehow gets into food, that's just, that's just
what I'm saying.
But yeah, maybe I might end up becoming a vegan sooner than ever. Just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, man. It was like, how many, like 16 meat factories they closed down already because of it.
Yeah.
So many people got infected and stuff like that. And see, that's the whole thing before we go. Isn't it interesting that places like that who still had people in close proximity how so many people were infected and they got rampant.
Yeah.
Now imagine if we went back to doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Say we all went to Wilson Creek and over a weekend it was 200 people there. What if we walk away and 150 of us gets it? Just like at this new plant.
Even 20.
Yeah. Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying? So
it's bad. You know.
Your sound kind of broke up right there. I think your signal. You there? You froze on me for our YouTube viewers, and it's getting dark for me too. Let me open the curtain up a little bit. There we go. It's probably
you're frozen.
There you go. Oh, now I'm frozen. Are you using your phone or your laptop? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Crispy Smith is back, people. Smith is back.
Proper.
Yeah, but kind of like what you said. Even 20 people would actually be bad.
I mean, just the fact that if let's say, if 5 people went in there, and let's say it was that low that only 5 people out of that 200, you know that it's going to spread, and out of the 250 people from that 5 got contaminated because they were around someone coughing, sneezing, or just talking,
Yeah.
And then they go home and they go to different places. That's another outbreak. And and people do come here from other states. I don't expect too many people from other states right away.
Right.
It is kind of
yeah, yes. Man. What was I gonna say? I think that was it on my. I think that was it on my list, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me check real quick. Yeah, I think that was it. 100 unmasked protesters. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, guys. I guess that's our show. Oh, one thing I wanted to say before we left. Now, this is interesting. So Smith and I plan on doing a show about how we should stop calling ourselves Black. So ever since we had that debate the other day on the phone, so I started practicing just saying African. Let me tell you something. It feels way better. And it's my first time ever consciously doing it.
Yeah.
And I can't even describe how it feels to just say that instead of Black. You have no idea. And I'm like, I should have been doing this a long time ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when we get into it, it'll be an interesting show. But yeah, I just want to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Because it feels really, really good. Yeah, man. So that's it. Yeah, I think we pretty much knocked that one out of the park,
Okay.
Make sure you don't try to see me unless we get in some barbecue. And did I lose Smith again? You heard me?
Bad connection again.
Yeah, you heard me? I said, make sure you don't try to see me unless we get into some barbecue.
Okay. Fair enough. Hey, that place near me had to, they closed up because they ran out of supplies.
Which one? The barbecue place?
Yeah, the one that near me.
Oh.
So they must order just enough to keep themselves. They thought okay. So they must have under order. Yeah.
Try the other one close to downtown Marietta is. That one's dope. And it's African owned.
Yeah.
And it's African owned, which is cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, don't forget to follow us on social media. Don't forget to subscribe on ICT Group Digital. rptalktruth@gmail is the email if you want to holler at us. Throw us a topic you want to talk about, historical fact or something. Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week. It's the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur and Smith. And like I said, don't try to come visit unless we get in some barbecue. And stay 6 feet.
Yeah, I'll see you at the wineries when they open.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what? I'm really gonna watch and see how they plan on opening these things. I really am, because I'm staying away. I'm be like, y'all go ahead and be the guinea pig. I'm gonna just sit back and watch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna sit back and watch, brother. That's it. All right, man. I'll see you next week.
All right. Peace.
All right, cool. Peace.